Season 1 is all about that dental school student or that new dental school grad or that transitioning dentist, pretty much giving the financial keys to success now that you're in a transition period. So let's go and hop into this episode, and we hope that you enjoy it.
Hello, welcome to the
Generational Dental Wealth Show. So glad to have you. We're here with Kingsley Ifedi, CPA.
Dr. Jermaine Ifedi. We have a very fun conversation today.
Yeah.
Oh man, but before we hop into it, man, King, tell me what's going on in your life, man?
We all know day-to-day grind. We all are in our different professions, right? Figuring things out, figuring out a way how to make impact, figuring out a way how to build relationships. On any given day, you can be wearing 20 different hats. So just filling that out, growing and trying to learn how to be a better CPA, not only for myself, but for my clients. I'm taking a personal mission to figure out how I can truly help people find more life. Because I feel like that's my life mission, is helping people find life and find it abundantly, man. So just figuring out ways to do that, and just trying to work on my personal relationships, man.
I heard you had a speaking engagement at East Carolina University this past week. Tell us about that.
Yeah, awesome. So I was able to go back and speak to ECU team. ECU team was an organization established in 2012, one of the best campus organizations in the nation, in my opinion.
Yes, sir. What does that stand for?
The Talented, Empowered, Inspired Men. And, ECU team has won campus organization many years in a row. 100% graduation rate, doing a lot of great things for black and colored men on campus. So I was able to be a part of that when I was at ECU, so they invited me back to come speak. I mean, over 100 students in attendance. Was able to give back a lot of great information, and at least get their mind rolling and kind of get them outside of the school setting and give them some practical ways to continue to expand, man. It was fun.
That's a beautiful thing, man. You already know when it comes to mentorship, man, that's just it's a love and a passion for us, man. But yeah, it's all about, honestly, I feel like mentors get more out of mentorship than the mentees do if it's done correctly. You know what I'm saying? Really being able to pour into somebody and watch their journey and see them grow. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing. And that's honestly going to dovetail right into what we're discussing today.
Exactly.
Today's topic is success leaves clues. And really just breaking down what that looks like in our individual lives, right? Like, how do we go about different stages in our growth, right? If you're a dentist, then there are very common similarities between what we've all experienced, right? You went to undergrad, you might have got a master's or something, a post-bac, something in between, or you went straight into dental school and now you're a dentist, right? Or you're in dental school now. Those mean that we have different stages, different steps. Yeah. The question is, if somebody had to watch your story and you could say nothing about your journey and they just had to look at all the clues you left behind, could they make a clear and concise picture of your journey?
That's good.
So yeah. I think a lot of us put our degrees on the wall because obviously that tells a story to our patients that I went to school and I finished school, right? Yeah. But if the biggest accomplishment we have coming out of school is that we made great grades and we got a diploma, I feel like that leaves so much on the table, man.
Yeah, it does.
So from a CPA perspective, man, I mean, I just wanted to get your insight. Give me your journey and what kind of clues have you left behind so when the next young professionals coming behind, they can follow your clues to success and try to emulate some things you do and add their own twist to it.
Yeah, so just, I guess, backing up quite a bit, and I'll try to give you the quick version. All my life, right, I've played football. I think sports have always been a huge part of my life, a huge part of my success, learning the discipline, learning how to show up and commit to a common goal. And that's why they call me the quarterback of Texas. Like I said, I played quarterback all my life. But starting, and I'll even backtrack all the way back to high school, I was able to play quarterback here in Charlotte at one of the better high schools here in Charlotte called Vance at the time, and I was able to go and win a lot of good games with a lot of good people, but also able to now set the tone in which the teams after me, the years after me, were able to win even more state championships. I mean, I think they've won 3 at this point. And when I was there, we were going to the semifinals right before the state championship each and every year. So just setting that foundation, even going back now, visiting the games, it feels good to be able to talk to the coaches, talk to some of the players and say, hey, like, this is a continuation of what we were able to do. And even your class, even before I got to Vance, when you were at Vance, even your class setting that precedence and laying that foundation for to say we're not going any lower than this. The bar is set here, and you got to go higher. Yes. So I was able to break a lot of CMS, which is Charlotte-Mecklenburg School records. I was able to get a lot of banners put in the in the gym, and I was able to, like I said, when I go back, have a sense of pride knowing I've left my mark here, and I didn't just come here just for the sports, right? I came, got a good education, left with, 3.8 or whatever like that, but also I wanted to not just be a great student and not just be a great athlete, but to be both, have both great relationships with, even people that I still talk to now. So that's the quick and dirty as far as high school. Going on to college, was able to start at East Carolina, get a scholarship, full ride there, able to pay everything there, never had to come out of pocket. Was able to go and play in a few games, have a little bit of success, but ultimately knowing that, I was maybe meant to be in a different place, ended up traveling or transferring to North Carolina A&T, where I played in much more games. I was able to go win some games, score a lot of touchdowns, meet a lot of great people, and go win a Celebration Bowl, which is the national championship for HBCU football. We've talked about Deion Sanders on this podcast a lot. That was the game in which he went and he played North Carolina Central last year in 2022. Was the Celebration Bowl game. So we played in that in 2019. So I got a ring from that. And that's a ring that nobody can ever take from me. No matter what happens in life, right? I was a part of that team. And success, like we said, leaves clues. And a ring is one of those clues. The fact that teams after me at A&T gets to look back and say, okay, these guys were highly successful. That leaves clues for them. And even during that process, right, going to be able to get a master's. And even now, the Masters of Accountancy program at A&T calls me back regularly just to come speak to the new up-and-coming students, because they want to say, okay, this is a guy that we can point to that came through the program, did what he was supposed to do, had massive success, and we want to keep pointing people to him because he's leaving clues, even though he's been gone for years at this point. So, I'm pretty sure I missed out gaps, but, I can, by God's grace, point back to certain periods in my life and say, hey, I want to be intentional about how I not only have success in this season, but how do I set myself up to where people behind me can now feed off of that success. Okay. So, like I said, I'm pretty sure many other examples will come to mind as we progress. But what about yourself, Doc?
One thing that you said that really stuck out to me was that you still have the ring and nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah.
For a lot of us, we have plaques that no one can ever take away from us. And I just wondered, do we ever think to ourselves, why do we get rings? Why do we get plaques? Why do we get trophies when we achieve these different heights, right? And it is to capture a body of work or a body of time that was committed to something and it was achieved. No one gets a plaque halfway through the semester.
Yeah.
No one gets a ring during practice before you win the game, right? So I think, earlier in life, we go through a lot of different challenges and turbulence, and it's earmarked by trophies, by plaques. But what happens when you get out into real life and there are no more physical trophies being handed to you? There's no more plaques saying that you graduated, or there's no more anything, really. That's when we have to take the next step and start creating our own plaques. We have to create our own championship rings. So when we look back on this 1 year that went by, I feel successful that this year went by. Let's not let a championship trophy be hosted up at the end of winning a championship, but then a whole year passed by and we have nothing to commemorate. What's more valuable, a trophy or a year of your time? That's the reason I'm a very firm believer that every year that passes by, there should be something that you can point back to and say, that's how I spent 2022. Yeah. That's how I spent 2023. That's how I spent whatever year that we are moving into or we are in. You have something to point back and to say, that's what happened, right? Yeah. From the year that I graduated, I can point to and say, okay, I graduated. Then the first year out, okay, I'm trying to figure out what can I do next? What's going to be the next level of achievement here? Because it would be a shame for the greatest level of achievement that I can look back on is graduating. Yeah. And nothing else comes of that. Yeah. So it's figuring out, okay, how can I do travel dentistry? How can I teach other people about travel dentistry? How can I get into the nursing homes? How can I help more patients? How can I figure out, how can I continue to set a new bar of fulfillment and achievement for myself, And I think that's everybody's individual's goals should be to try to figure out what's going to be your next level of individual achievement. And hopefully you have great people around you. Like I have Kings that I can be able to share certain achievements with and be able to talk to about and be able to bounce certain things on. And this Celebration Bowl you talk about of you winning the championship, it was a blessing being in Atlanta with you, seeing you win that championship. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like these achievements are beautiful things when you can share them with others.
Yeah, I think the very unique thing about dentists in the world of dentistry is the fact that you have patients that you are pretty much growing with. They were with you when you were probably new and opening your practice or first beginning to practice dentistry. And then you see them over the years. I think that's very unique compared to maybe other industries where it's very transactional. Being an office manager, seeing, patients come in and I'm looking at their charts or I'm looking at their pictures, and these are like maybe 20 years ago, like when they still had hair. a lot of them don't anymore. They're not bald. But long story short, even though I don't practice clinically, but I see the fact that their face lights up because this brings back memories for them. And I think it's even more important that I say that, as dentists, right, for that to be a positive experience that they remember. The orthodontist that I got my braces with, I still go back sometimes, to say, oh, my retainer broke or things like that. And it just feels good walking in there because I remember, they were with me in 6th, 7th grade. And I have positive emotions associated with that place. So I guess back to, how success leaves clues in dentistry. How was that kind of played out for your life, Doc?
So for myself, again, I wanted something to be able to point back to and my own trophy of sorts that I can look back and really take pride in. And I don't want anyone listening to think that this has to be done in 365 days, right? Mm-hmm. The same way it took you 4 years to get your dental degree, right? Not all achievements are going to be done by December 31st, right? Yeah. But that's the reason I say periods of times should be capitalized and really captured through some level, right? So for instance, for undergrad, where you went back to go speak, this past week to East Carolina, it was to Talented, Empowered, Inspired Men. I look back in my time during undergrad with some amazing other young men. We were able to create an organization that still lives on 10 years plus past us, that has now grown 10x from when we were there. Yeah. Over 100 plus active members to be able to can still have the same mission of 100% graduation rate is our continual goal. Mm-hmm. I could look back and say during my time in undergrad, we were able to leave that body of work behind and continue to grow it just from a different perspective. Instead of a student, now more of a mentor. Now, when I move into my master's program, I'm trying to figure out, okay, I have a year and a half in my MBA program. What can I take away from this besides a plaque that says you have achieved your master's in business administration, right? And that's when I got acceptance into dental school. To God be the glory, So now I can always look back and say, during my MBA, not only did we graduate, but we also were able to start the next chapter of dentistry. Then I get to dental school. Okay, how can I maximize this time here, right? Awards are fantastic. We got awards while in school, and honestly, a lot of the awards you forget over time. Obviously, that big accomplishment, and I do not want to understate the huge accomplishment of graduating dental school. Yeah. Let's not miss that. After 4 years, you get that degree, and you have now transformed your entire lineage, your entire generation. So again, in our family, I'm proud to say that doctor problem is solved now. No one after this will be able to say, I'm the first doctor in my family, Now they have a resource, right? They have people they can ask to, right? They're never going to be the first person with their master's degree, right? Because things like that have been solved between us. And now they can now say, how do I go about getting my master's, uncle? How do I go about getting my doctoral degree? And we have resources. Yeah. But now the next step is, what's the next level of achievement after that, right? And for myself personally, every city I personally worked in for longer than a 6-month period, it was my goal to purchase a house there. So I can look back and say, okay, my 10 months that I spent in this particular city, this made sense, okay? So if I ever need to come back there or work, or if anybody else in our family needs to work in that particular city, now they have a residence there. You see what I'm saying? Instead of just working somewhere, let's say 4 or 5 years, leaving, and all I have to show for are pictures. Pictures are fantastic, but to be honest, a lot of us don't even get them developed anymore. So what tangible do we, think about it, what tangibly do we have that to take from a majority of our experiences, if in this day and age we don't even print off pictures anymore.
I know this is off topic, but I used to look forward to going to grandma's house and looking at the printed photo books of all of our different life experiences.
Yeah.
But no, it's just nostalgia, man.
It's nostalgia, but it's nice to think back and be able to say that during this first 2 years of my particular career, I can look back at this piece of property, or I can look back at this body of work, whether it be a guide that you created to help other students, whether if it be a seminar that you helped organize and you spoke at and you kept the actual recording from it. Whatever it is, as different stages of life occur, I just don't want us to get so caught up in this Instagram world where we post stuff and we delete things and we archive things, because our life is more than just posting and archiving. Our life is like real. We have real breath in our bodies, and we have an ability to really leave a mark on this earth. Yeah. And I feel like we need to capitalize on that. So as you're going through your different stages in schooling, and you're going through different stages in life, and you're now going from your undergrad to now in dental school, and you've graduated dental school, and now you're working, don't let 5 years pass you by and you feel like there's nothing actionable that has passed in those 5 years that you can put your hands on and say that I was able to contribute to this particular change. You have that ability. We all have that ability, and it's important that we take that responsibility seriously, because what's going to happen is, and the reason that dentistry has such a high level of burnout and dissatisfaction is because sometimes we get caught in the grind of dentistry, right? Mm-hmm. Worrying about production, worrying about whatever the particular issue is of that particular time. But one thing that you said that really stuck out to me was the fact that, now that we have Empire, we get to see our patients grow with us. You see what I'm saying? And it was probably one of the most full circle moments when our patients start to come back for their 6-month recalls. And since we have a lot of periodontal patients, they come back for 3-month recalls. And to be able to see them after we start up, after we do our grand opening, and then they coming back for their 3-month and their 6-month recalls, and you're able to see them and they're giving you updates on life. I mean, people having cancer, people have lost individuals, people have gotten new jobs, people have gotten promotions, so many different life changes happen. And you get to be that safe space, that safe haven that people are entrusting this information into, right? Mm-hmm. So if a lot of people are being able to commemorate their minds and their goals within you, I think you as well as a clinician need to be able to have something or someone you commemorate a lot of your goals with.
Yeah. So I guess bringing everything back, practical advice moving forward, and I guess I'll kind of start it out, in which they can take this information and now turn it back into their life this week, turn it back into their life in general, right? I always say you may not get a new beginning, but you can always decide to have a new ending, right? You may not be able to go back and do things different in undergrad, in dental school, different things like that, but you can always choose to have a new ending. What is your legacy going to be? So I would say for me, just identify areas right now. Like you said, we're at the point in life now where we're young professionals or we're professionals, and we don't always have the chance to go get a plaque, right? Or a trophy, or now go back and figure out how we can get certificates and things. Maybe a lot of those things are already wrapped up and done. But I would say a practical piece of advice, just identify maybe one person that you say, I'm going to focus these next 365 days, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to pour back into them, right? Use it as an opportunity to say, okay, even though, right, I'm busy, I'm a professional, I'm a dentist, I'm going to use this opportunity to say, okay, how can I help this person get from point A to point B? Identify the individual. It doesn't even have to be another dentist or another professional. It can be your little brother. It can be your cousin. It can be that person that you've run into that has voiced to you that I want to get here, or you inspire me. Find that individual and say, for the next 365 days, I want to see them go from A to Z, and how can I be a part of that? I think that's a very practical way to leave clues, because now, and I'll give a practical example. There's a CPA, and when I tell you I met him from the luck of it had to be God, because the way I found him, I was just online looking for a mentor, and I didn't even know I was looking for a mentor. We were starting to see clients, and I wasn't even a CPA yet. I was just a young accountant that wanted to do taxes and different things like that. And he said, and I've heard this 20,000 times, but he said it and he meant it. He said, listen, I don't know you, you don't know me. I mean, we're talking on the phone. I'm just calling around different places in Charlotte. And he's like, hey, like, if you need anything, I'm there. And he was one of those people that really stuck to his word. And even till now, when I did get the CPA and I did graduate from the master's, he was one of the ones that came back for the graduation. He was one of the ones that I was leaning on heavy. I'm like, hey, so-and-so, I don't know how to study, help me out. And he always stuck to his word, and he never was looking for anything out of it. And so I remember things like that, and that's what inspires me to now do that for somebody else. Even though that might take time and energy from me, somebody did it for me, so I want to pay that forward. So I guess that's my practical, I say, to leave you today, is find somebody who you can selflessly pour back into and say, how can I help them actually obtain a real result, so that I can look back and we can both reflect and say, hey, like, I was a part of this. What about you? Any practical, I guess, one piece of advice you can leave people today with?
I like that you said that, because in reality, what happens is our life transitions from our accolades being commemorated in rings and plaques and trophies to our life being commemorated in people.
In people, yeah.
And we transition from celebrating our wins by pieces of paper to our wins by people that we're able to impart our knowledge into. And that's the reason I say, as a mentor, you honestly get more out of mentorship as a mentor than you do a mentee, because these are ways in which you can express certain things within you and be able to get them out into the world. I mean, I have some amazing mentors that have dropped nuggets. And the beautiful thing about mentorship is that you don't remember every single word, but there's always a few conversations that really, really stick out to you. And in tough times, you're able to recall it. So again, as you're going through this process, again, it is important to leave physical clues behind. But if you're asking me for one piece, if you've already said mentorship, one thing I would say is just get involved with something, an organization, get involved with something that you can say, okay, this is how I'm going to spend my body of time, right? This is what the body of work I want to create with the next part of my time, whether if it's helping put together a conference, whether if it's joining a particular show, right? And the reason we call this the Generational Dental Wealth Show is because it's really about passing on a wealthy mindset to the next person, right? And now it might be intergenerational, it might be amongst different generations, but the goal is for us to pass down mindsets, right? So again, it could be even you sharing your mindset with us, right? DMing us, words of encouragement, leaving comments. And in that way, you're contributing to the growth of the Generational Dental Wealth Show. So in all things, just really try to find a way to get connected, because that's the only way you can really achieve your next level of success. Notice everything we talked about, whether it was your football accomplishments, whether it was my dental school accomplishments, whatever, your master's accomplishment. Notice there's always other people around that accomplishment. These are never solo accomplishments, right? Whether if it's in dental school, my class of 82, whether if it was on your football team of over 100 people, whether if it is staff, the trainers, everybody who goes into the what it takes to win, regardless of what it is, it's never solo. So please try to find people you can link up with and you can help them achieve their next level of success, and also find a good mentor for yourself so you can find your next level of success, so you can be a clue that somebody else leaves behind on their journey.
Yeah, man. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, man. So I hope this episode really touched you, really inspired you, really was this spark to allow you to go out and do great things and touch a lot of different people. Anything else to add to that, Doc?
No, that's it. That's it.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you all joining us again today at the Generational Dental Wealth Show. And I look forward to seeing you all again.
Peace.
Peace.